Hey, brothers and sisters. I think it's important to just kind of follow up on something here. I've done a few videos taking a look at some of the uh, supposedly artifacts, if you want to say, on Mars. Took a lot of heat for it as well. But I personally think there's a reason we're being pointed to these things, and the reason why it's happening now is I think this really plays into the strong delusion that's going to happen. We did um, Earth's Earliest Ages was a video I did a while back pointing to how the Bible shows us that there very likely was, I'll say it was a fallen angelic judgment prior to Adam. And I know that's a tough one for serious Bible students, but it's not my interpretation. It's coming out of um, Chuck Missler. It's coming from some theologians from the 1800s. But go watch the video that I did, Earth's Earliest Ages Returns. And the reason why I threw the returns on there is it looks like from the Bible some hints that we're going to see the incursion, the Nephilim again. And you got everybody from L.A. Marzulli getting physical evidence of this here on Earth that they did exist and all that, and tying the current UFO phenomenon to the fallen angel activity. And then you have, this wealth of evidence that seems to be coming out every day now that those alien incursions go all the way back in time in terms of when man was around. I've done a couple other video clips where I showed videos that are been on the internet for a while, people that claim to have built some of the deep underground military bases, and again, it was always alien technology that was behind that, behind some of the UFO phenomena that we see now. And I really think that is the part that the Bible talks about is the strong delusion that's going to come upon the whole world, and even the elect could be deceived. I think that's what it's coming, and it's going to be so convincing because here you're going to have these ancient artifacts, and the storyline is going to be about the ancient aliens that seeded the planet, and through evolution or whatever became human. And that storyline's been out there for decades now, and now we're seeing a whole bunch of physical evidence kind of stuff that goes with it. And I'm going to play a clip here. This came out in the last day or two here, December 13th. So 2 days. This video's been around, and now I see it being picked up on IntelliHub. And before its news is where I actually saw the link to this thing. And you notice it's coming from, this is the paranormal crucible. It's coming from the folks that probably have their hearts set on the aliens as our saviors. And Tom Horn, Chris Putnam documented that this is the storyline that's evolving out of the Vatican itself, with the telescopes. They're looking for something from the sky coming to Earth, and they talk about baptizing aliens because they're going to be, you know, actually they say that the church is implying that they weren't even subject to the fall, and so their doctrine is going to be more pure than what we have here on earth. So the deception is going to be phenomenal. And now I just want to play this. It's a 4-minute clip to make sure that you go look at this, and I'll include the original link down below here when I get ready to do that there. I copied it. But let's take a look at this clip, and then I'm going to follow up with some other things that I've seen in the last few days as well.
Remarkable ancient relics have been discovered that could totally rewrite Egyptian history. The artifacts, which were discovered in a former home of Sir William Petrie in Jerusalem, were allegedly taken by representatives of the Rockefeller Museum, shortly after the discovery became known. Sir William, who has made more major discoveries than any other archaeologist in history, first went to Egypt to survey the pyramids in 1880. His vast collection of discoveries is now housed at the Petrie Museum in London. These mysterious relics, which were found in a secret room behind a large bookcase, could possibly confirm a direct connection between ancient Egypt and an extraterrestrial civilization. Among the many items found were two small mummified bodies of possible alien creatures. The artifacts, which were found in a wooden crate, are approximately 3 to 4 feet in height. Both skeletons have elongated heads, with large eye sockets and long spindly arms. Could these mummified bodies be the remains of two extraterrestrial life forms? Another remarkable relic, which was found near the two bodies, appears to be an alien device of some kind. The disc-shaped object, which is about the size of a small plate, is allegedly made out of gold, and has a sealed transparent top. Contained inside is an intricate mechanism, which is surrounded by gold spiral tubing, that has several small gold orbs and crosses attached to it. The outer casing of the object is decorated with an array of mysterious symbols that do not appear to be Egyptian in origin. The most intriguing item, which could be a fragment from a much larger artifact, appears to show an extraterrestrial creature. The carving, which resembles a gray alien in appearance, is surrounded by symbols and glyphs. If we look closer, we can clearly see that these symbols depict several extraterrestrial encounters, and a possible alien spaceship, emitting beams of light. It would appear that Sir William may have had a secret collection of antiquities that he chose not to reveal to the world. However, it's highly possible that Sir William was researching these ancient artifacts and their possible implications before releasing his findings to the general public. Although it's unclear when these artifacts were first discovered, it is believed they came from a chamber within the Giza pyramid complex. This theory is possible, mainly because Sir William mysteriously abandoned his efforts in Egypt, and went to work on Hyksos sites in Palestine and Gaza. He worked at these sites until his death in the early 40s. Could these ancient discoveries confirm that an advanced extraterrestrial civilization was in direct contact with the ancient Egyptians? This would certainly explain how the pyramids were built, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is one of the most impressive structures on Earth. It's reasonable to assume, considering the evidence, that an extraterrestrial race did indeed interact with Earth's ancient cultures. Maybe one day, the true facts will be revealed, and then finally the human species can move forward into the bright light of truth.
Okay, so I guess that wasn't too hard to catch from a God-denying world. They're going to put their hopes on the ancient aliens that are going to return. And so I think that storyline is just getting more and more and more obvious, and you can see the artifacts that they put. Have you noticed, the Ankh, the resurrecting Ankh symbol was used on the ancient alien artifacts, and I know there's going to be people just incredulous with this video, especially given the source, right? Paranormal Crucible, and they're probably skeptical of the Mars rover photos and all this other stuff as well. They'll say Photoshop, Photoshop, or whatever. I'm not trying to validate or authenticate any of this stuff. I'm showing how that storyline is being shoved in our face. I think there's some biblical support of what probably happened if this is real, but it almost doesn't matter. It's going to be the storyline that's used for, what caused the rapture of the church. Why are they gone? Well, they were the rebels that got beamed out by the aliens, And what is the truth? Well, the aliens, if you ask me, the resurrected Nimrod returning, or as the Luciferians like to say, it's going to be the, as I did in the Christmas musing thing, it's going to be the um, Tammuz being resurrected. They're going to point to that as their God, and he's coming to save the world because World War III is going to break out here soon. Well, that's a storyline that is both uh, biblical in terms of what's going to happen with the Antichrist, but it's also the storyline that the media is putting out and is supporting. Now, these are, of course, not mainstream sources, but as the hard evidence comes out and let's say the church leaves, everybody's going to be searching for, well, how did this happen? And I think that's when the media jumps on the bandwagon of this storyline, and the storyline is going to go all the way back into antiquity. And so it's going to be so believable when it happens. And so let's just take a look now. A couple other crazy things that came out, and then we'll make this just a short video. So uh, I don't know when this discovery was actually made, but like I say, the video was posted a couple of days ago, and it's just now getting picked up by some of the alternative media sites. Here's something else that's been out for about a week, week and a half. So a Mars rover shot, and I went, clicked on the link, made sure it was coming from the actual NASA JPL website, and it was, because what's crazy about this is you got a critter here, and again, if you want to say Photoshop, Photoshop, fine, but it's government sponsored photoshopping that's going on then, and we see like Google blocking out parts of uh, satellite photos and stuff that of Earth and of other planets, and so yeah, that stuff is happening. So this could just be photoshopped in, or it could be legitimate. Um, there's stories out in the alternative media of ex-military that claim that they've been on Mars, and the atmosphere is like the atmosphere of being on Earth at 15,000 feet, and supposedly you can adjust to it. And so, you know, could there be critters up there or whatever? I don't know. You always see these other things, they're symmetrical or look like gears or something else that are up there, and this even looks like a small critter here next to a bigger one. But when I went looking for this photo, I was trying to go to the actual JPL site for myself and not just click on a link so that I wasn't being spoofed or anything. And when I was up there, I also ran into this. And this is, again, you can roll back. This is just the Martian landscape here. You can see the rover wheel here. You can see another part of the rover here. I don't know what it is. But what do you have here? You've got, it's been sandblasted, but it looks like some artifact here, stone artifact that looks like an alien again, which very similar to the ones we just saw there on the video clip. And there's some others. If you look in here, there's definitely some writing on some of this. It looks like another eye of something. This has been sandblasted, and why this is trench here has this in there on Mars. I'm not sure. It looks like it might continue to go down, and so what's this about? I have no idea, but it's different than the whole surrounding landscape. If you back out here, you can see the whole surrounding landscape and then this trench. You can see some more potential writing here and some more writing on some of these other stones. And so I think, Photoshop or not, whatever this is, the storyline about the ancient aliens and the, what do they call it, panspermia or something, the seeding of Earth and the whole evolution thing is going to be used as the real reason and the real genesis of Earth and its population. And the fact that the church leaves is going to be because we were the rebels against what the truth was, and we were taken off the planet, something like that. You know, the Project Bluebeam stories that are out there, I think, go with that theory. But I just wanted to point back to the Bible and the video I did on Earth's earliest age returning. We take apart Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 going into 2, and note how there's something there that seems to be pointing to a history prior to Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. And then we looked at some interesting verses, I'll put it that way. I think it was in Jeremiah 4 and Isaiah 45 that seemed to point to God didn't create the earth formless and void as it says there in the first verses of Genesis 1. He created it to be inhabited. And so when we show up in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2 and 3 and the like, and the earth is sitting there formless and void with water covering the earth, and we see in other, like I say, Jeremiah 4 and Isaiah 45, that God didn't create it that way, and then we see God had performed a judgment, and the language around that judgment matches Genesis chapter 1 in the first few verses there. So that's kind of the high level view of where you can get something existing prior to the 6 days of creation, or the 7 days of creation, count the rest day. 7th day of creation there, starting in Genesis chapter 1, and that begins, if you look, I think around about verse 4 or 5. So yeah, I think the Bible cracks the door open to the earth and even, Mars and the plants and all that, possibly having an earlier situation. And we know that when Adam and Eve met, Satan, the serpent in the garden, the fall had already happened. And so when did the fall happen? The angels were supposedly there when the earth was created and were rejoicing. So you've got at some point with the heavens and the earth being created, and then you have the fall of the angelic, 1/3, and then you have the creation of man. So somewhere in there, you've got to connect some of these dots. And so the biblical scholars now they're talking about that, these alien grays run when somebody says the name of Jesus, and that, there's animosity and hatred coming from these interdimensional beings. And that was confirmed by MIT. I think it was a psychiatry professor out of MIT and another big institution that interviewed hundreds of people that supposedly had an abduction story, that these weren't kind beings, that they were wicked. And so that story is there in the secular of what these could be, as well as in the Bible. And I'll leave you with that. Just we're living in odd times, and I don't think this story can go on personally much longer, unless we're going to end up with, some sort of a big debate here in the Christian community about the meaning of the ancient aliens, because this story is getting out. So I'll leave you there, brothers and sisters. If you don't know Christ and you're seeing all this quote paranormal stuff being exposed, I just want to let folks know that there is a biblical interpretation for this, and that Jesus Christ is very likely going to come at any time now. And give your heart to the Lord, because this certainly seems like it's going to be the strong delusion that's talked about in the New Testament in Thessalonians that's going to happen. And it happens right after the church is taken out of the way. So I beg you to give your heart to the Lord, because the church is going to heaven very soon. And then what you're going to be faced with is evil and demonic fallen beings coming to Earth, it sure appears like, and that storyline about the ancient aliens being our more enlightened brothers bringing a new gospel is what the earth is going to have to deal with after the church is gone. So give your heart to the Lord. Message me if you're not a born again Christian, you want to understand this better. Message me, hit the about, send me a private message. God bless you, saints. It looks like sometime soon, right?